Becoming a mom was something I always dreamed of, but being a mom to a son with a hard to pronounce heart condition has had its challenges. Seeing my son, you would never assume that he has this heart condition because he is such a happy and lovable baby. So, my family and I have firsthand experience with this rare condition, and it is very sensitive and personal to us. So, in this discussion, I will explain the discovery of the diagnosis, our reactions, the treatment plan, and what our life has been like after the diagnosis. By sharing our son's story, I seek to empower others facing similar challenges, and I also want to share the uniqueness of this condition. So I'm going to jump into the first main point, which is discovering the diagnosis. I can remember clearly that before leaving the hospital, our son had to have a last health screening. They told us it was going to take a few minutes. Unfortunately not. It took hours for our son to come back. And when he did, a specialist came in shortly after our son came back to give us the news. Our son had an abnormality, a rare condition called core triatrium. Here's a picture of core triatrium. Core triatrium is a rare heart defect that affects the upper left chamber of the heart with a membrane. As fetuses, we all have this, but during our development in the mother's womb, it disappears. What makes his diagnosis so unique is that it never disappeared. And this heart defect affects a small percentage of babies, and just to give a quick picture, it affects 1%. After receiving news about our son's rare condition, of course we have our emotions and our reactions, so it's normal to react. As parents, we pray to never get the news that there's something wrong with your baby. You always want your baby to be healthy. You always want to hear that your baby's doing fine. So the diagnosis took us by surprise, being that this is our first son, this is our first experience, and we never expected this. So we were surprised to hear that our son was special, had a special something. So my initial reaction was that I felt at fault. I asked myself constantly, what could have I done to make our son have this condition? What could have I done better to have taken care of myself while having my son inside of me? Postpartum depression also played a huge role in the discovery of the diagnosis of my son, because I felt like I caused this. Although the specialist had informed us, this is not genetic. This is something neither of you could have done. But my postpartum brain did not listen to that. My husband also started to reacted to some extent that he believed that his son wasn't going to be able to play like a normal baby. He wasn't going to be able to get upset or cry for a long period of time because he was scared that his son's heart was going to start to beat faster. We didn't know what could happen. So after the specialist explained the defect, our main concern was, what was his treatment plan going to be like? Our son was prescribed by his specialist to be seen a month after his birth, and in that 1 month appointment, he was performed an EKG and an ultrasound, and he was measured to see how his growth was at that time. So in that EKG, it was fine, but his ultrasound, we could see that he still had that membrane, and that membrane was going in and out, in and out, in and out. And That just meant that the membrane was thin, as told by his specialist. And by his membrane being thin, that meant that it wasn't thickening. And that was a good sign, because once it thickens, it causes obstruction, meaning that something could go wrong, something could go to the lungs. And his breathing is what can indicate that that is happening. As of today, he does not need surgery, and his specialist told us that he was asymptomatic. And usually asymptomatic patients don't need surgery. They just need a lifelong of checkups by their specialist. So his next scheduled appointment is December 9th to check any further development, to see where we're at. And with that, there are concerns. I am concerned to know if there's something new, if everything is fine. I'm just worried. I don't want to lose my baby. That's what I just think. So now that we have discussed the heart defect in detail, I would like to give light about what life has been like after the discovery. If you were to ask me, would you do this all over again? Yes, I would. Because my son is the biggest blessing I have ever received. We cherish every moment with our son. And every time I look into my son's eyes, I see a healthy baby. I have explained in full detail about the discovery, reaction, treatment, and what life has been like after the diagnosis. Therefore, by sharing this story, I hope to have empowered each and every one of you who might have the same challenges that we are facing. And I also have explained the uniqueness of his condition. Going back to the initial question that was given to us by his specialist, can you fix a heart? Yes, you can. We have learned that all kinds of hearts can be fixed, loved, and nurtured. We don't know why yet, but we are gifted such unique human beings in this world, and our son is one of them. And all I can say is, my son is normal. He is a normal baby. He is a normal, healthy baby. So at this point, he's fine. He's fine, and we're just waiting for December 9th. So thank you, everyone, for listening.